Transmitting to you from Old Heart Radio.
Oh, that was perfect. Welcome once again. It's another Matinee Edition, I suppose.
It is.
Hello, friend.
Hello, friend. It is good to see you in the little box.
In our little Zoom box.
Yeah. Every week we talk about how we're going to do this in person.
It just doesn't come together.
Doesn't come together. Partially because the fucking smoke has yet to clear.
Oh my gosh. It has been gnarly. I mean, I feel very grateful that we're not in like the thick of it, but holy fuck, even getting like the runoff is just terrible, dude. The smoke is ugh.
I had to run up to like past Seattle and fuck the driving back down through Seattle, passing over the bridge from North Seattle into the downtown area.
Yeah.
I couldn't fucking see the Space Needle. I couldn't see any of downtown.
That's gnarly, dude.
It was insane. I maybe could see I could see like all the road in front of me, but nothing in the distance. It was just a cloud. It was intense.
Dang. Yeah. Well, hopefully something comes through, man.
It's supposed to rain like 4 times in the next week. So
I know it's just the irony, right? Like everybody gripes about, well, not necessarily gripes. Everybody gripes for a little bit and then is content with the fact that it rains so much. But right now everybody's like, oh my God, we really need the rain season to start.
Dude, anybody that fucking complains about rain needs to move out of the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, that's just kind of straight up. Like growing up on the other side of the state, didn't get any rain. And then like moving over here, it was at first like I liked the adjustment. I was like, cool, dude. Like I didn't mind walking around getting rained on and shit like that. I was immediately comfortable. But what you have to get used to is the fact that like it doesn't stop being gray and rainy for like months. It's not just like the casual shit.
The trade-off is that like when the seasons change here, it's gorgeous. Like it's a beautiful place to live. But this isn't the podcast about nature.
Good point.
You know, but do you know what's been raining down on us this week?
What?
News.
Oh, news. I always almost think people say nudes, but they're actually.
Ooh, did you hear about that?
Hey,
we did talk about this before we recorded.
Perfect segue. So Captain America had a little slip up. We'll say this last news cycle.
We could just leave it there too.
Yeah. You can Google
Look up Chris Evans on Twitter.
I'm just going to say this. Speaking of Twitter, find us on Twitter at Old Heart and Space.
How about Instagram?
Yeah, that's right. We're literally riding Chris Evans' dick on that one because we're just like...
Oh, man.
So go out there and find us on Twitter and find Chris Evans on Twitter because his response to like this whole thing, like I think it was like one of the first tweets he posted after this was great. It was just like, now that I have your attention... vote on November
3rd. Yeah, everybody vote November 3rd.
I was like, that's great.
Right off of that too. Please vote.
But
and
you're
follow
right,
us on Instagram afterwards.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram afterwards. Yeah, that's right. At Old Heart Radio.
There you go.
We're on a roll. You're right though. So we had plenty of interesting news this week. And we cherry picked a few. For this juicy podcast.
Where should we start?
I really want to start with just like I want to start with the Star Wars. Let's start with Star Wars. Mandalorian trailer dropped.
Hell yeah.
How excited are you for this?
Dude, I'm fucking excited. It gives me a reason to have Disney Plus.
I know. That's what I was thinking too. I was like, finally. Like a reason for that reoccurring purchase.
Dude, the first season was sick. I hope this is good. I'm excited to potentially see Boba Fett. I'm excited to potentially see Ahsoka. That would be. I mean,
Dude,
I'm excited.
This season, and you can tell from the trailer, it immediately opens up the scope of this show.
Yeah.
Like you saw X-wings in the trailer, you see more stormtroopers in this trailer, you see like more different like alien types, you see different planets, like, and they're talking about finding a way to find some fucking Jedi.
Yeah, which little headcanon here. Are we going to see a de-aged Mark Hamill at some point?
Oh my god, dude! They did it to Patrick Stewart for X-Men. I'm so fucking down to do it if they did it to Mark
Dude,
Hamill.
we could see fucking Kid Kylo Ren. We could see Mark Hamill. Like, who the fuck knows?
What a wild connection, like way to connect these two. That could. I mean, they totally could.
Because like they were saying, they got to drop him off with the Jedi somehow. They got to find him.
It's true, man. But
we could see all the like. That's sort of the beauty of the Mandalorian. It's number one, exploring a time in Star Wars in the canon that hasn't really been touched on much.
Yeah, true.
So, and like everything feels like it's been focused on in between fucking the Revenge of the Sith and New Hope. But then that gap between the original trilogy and the new trilogy, there's like it's ripe for interesting content, but it really hasn't been touched on.
Yeah, you're right, man, and you're right. The Mandalorian really scratches that itch, and so I'm really looking forward to fucking seeing it. But that's not the only, like that's the series that's moving along. But they also have the Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan series in development right now.
So excited,
so fucking excited for. He like released some like he made some sort of comment saying that he is more excited about this series than he was about doing the prequels. Which like that's because well, but going into those prequels, they didn't know that they were shit right away. So like, maybe he's like using hindsight a little bit on that.
I mean, looking at the like him on set with the prequels, some of the behind the scenes footage is really fucking funny. He must be happy to have like a better writer than George Lucas.
That's what I mean. Like somebody that's like allowing him to like explore that character. But I hear it's going to be like a limited series, so
I'm glad. I mean, like I feel like, especially with like an Obi-Wan series, it's such an iconic character. They can't push it too hard, The beauty of like a limited series is like you just do what you gotta do, and it's okay for something to end.
Yeah, you tell the story you're telling, and you beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah. Which actually, I want to throw this out here quickly. It's not Star Wars, but it's interesting news nonetheless. Stranger Things got renewed for a 5th season. I was
waiting to talk to you about this. I've heard similar things. Like they released, so it officially got renewed for a 5th.
So this is something interesting. The creators always said that they wanted it to be a 4 or 5 season show, so it didn't exhaust its welcome. It's interesting to me, that they're pushing it as far as they can. It makes me slightly worried.
I agree, but a little bit ago, like a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I saw like a statement floating around from the creators of Stranger Things that were saying that like the story wasn't done after season 4.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering if this news was coming, but like holy, like I really hope they don't like beat this Netflix horse to death, because the show deserves to be ended on a proper note.
I mean, that's something that they've said since the beginning of the show. Is like after season 1 came out, they were like, we have a 4 or 5 season plan, and we're gonna run it that long, and then it's gonna end. So it's fascinating to me to see them. I almost expected them to be done after season 4 because the scope is getting so large.
Yeah,
it's like what the fuck are they gonna do after into a 5th season?
I thought 4 was going to be it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what happens, but who knows?
But it's exciting either way, because the progress of that show has always been kind of the evolution. It's
so fun.
It's just fun to watch.
Back to Star Wars, though.
Oh well, so there's also, I was just going to mention, like I think that this is kind of contingent, sort of like what we were talking about last week with like Black Widow and Mulan, and what we were talking about before the podcast. I think there's this idea of a young Mace Windu show, which would be a really interesting character to follow also, but I think that's really contingent on the success of the Obi-Wan series.
Yeah. I mean, with Yeah, I mean, Mace Windu is one of those characters that didn't do shit in the movies.
No,
Or then have Samuel Jackson every once in a while, like say like a boring one-liner.
Yeah, he's a much bigger character in the universe outside of the movies.
Yeah,
but,
like the Clone Wars, he's a total badass.
Oh, dude, like the animated. Like, did you ever see the Cartoon Network animated like Clone Wars series before?
Yeah. The like it looks like Samurai Jack.
Yeah, it's so fucking amazing. And Mace Windu in that series is so badass. Fucking badass, dude. He takes out like battalions by himself. It's fucking crazy.
It's one of those things. It's another character with. That's the beauty of properties like Star Wars, like Star Wars, Harry Potter. You make the argument for like Stranger Things, Marvel. There's so much DC. Like there's so much depth, and there's so many random little bits that can be expanded on.
Definitely. And so, you know, I'd be interested to see how Obi-Wan does, and if they can pull off like feasibly some cool like Jedi looking shit. And like,
dude, if there's ever a Mace Windu series, I'm next up champing the bit for Kit Fisto.
I mean, like, well, think about it. I mean, like, not to dwell on this too much, but like they could really do it with like any individual Jedi.
Yeah,
like they could just do like a limited series about like the storyline of like this Jedi, and then like they all end with Order 66.
Dude, there's gonna be the fucking Jar Jar Chronicles eventually.
Oh God, no.
Which actually, there's like an in-canon like novel that explains what he did after Order 66, and he's like a street performer that's kicked the shit out of by pedestrians for ruining the society. I
just don't. Like, who's asking for a Jar Jar Binks story? I don't understand that.
Dude, Darth Jar Jar.
That's real, man.
Yeah.
He was actually it wasn't Palpatine. It was Darth Jar Jar pulling the strings the entire time. He was behind behind Palpatine in that last.
Dude, he was who was the fucking yeah, dude, I was in the Snoke Jar Jar camp. I'm just fucking with you. I thought Snoke was Plagueis.
Fair enough. I mean, that's still Snoke was such a weird character, a throwaway character.
We can go down that rabbit hole all fucking day.
We can, but I just wanted to mention one more bit of news before we kind of turn to like the rewatch and whatnot. But
yeah,
the best news this week, the casting of Jonathan Walters, I believe was his name. I'd have to like pull that back up. Jonathan Walters from the Lovecraft Country, which is a fucking awesome, weird, crazy show, by the way, on HBO.
Yeah.
Jonathan Majors, Jesus.
Majors.
He's been cast supposedly as Kang the Conqueror in the Ant-Man 3.
But then afterwards, there's another leak saying that he's supposed to be like an overarching villain after Ant-Man.
Which makes sense. I mean, because Kang the Conqueror wouldn't be a one and done. It's just so cool to me that they're going to introduce him in Ant-Man 3, but it immediately opens up the door for Doctor Doom, Fantastic Four, Silver Surfer, Galactus, all the litany of characters that come with that circle. And
dude, I mean,
Kang the Conqueror is a distant relative of Reed Richards and supposedly Doctor Doom. So,
dude, fuck the Fantastic Four here. I'm here for Iron Lad. You know.
Dude, I'm just saying, like, it could, like, it's so cool. Like, it's such a choice casting, and he's a really impressive
character
and intense actor. So, like, from what I've seen so far, I'm really like, I want to see what else he's in besides this recent show.
It's interesting that they're debuting him in Ant-Man.
Oh, totally, because Ant-Man to this day has been the family-friendly comedic throwaway movie of the MCU.
I really hope they don't do like a watered down King the Conqueror, because he's sort of like a dumb character, but then at the same time he's responsible for some of the craziest shit that happens in Marvel Comics.
Yeah, but most importantly, he's a time traveling character, which means they're gonna fuck with time even more. Which brings me to I guess my actual last bit of juicy news: WandaVision on Disney Plus, the Marvel series, is officially slated for the end of this year.
Yeah,
thank goodness.
Once again, another thing other than the Mandalorian that's going to make Disney Plus worth it.
Exactly, and that's what they're planning on. Mandalorian in October, you rewatch it in November, and then December probably they fart out WandaVision.
So this is actually what I was thinking. I think that because WandaVision's been slated for the end of this year, that that Falcon the Winter Soldier is probably due around the same time as the Mandalorian.
Oh, interesting. You think so?
Because Falcon the Winter Soldier was slated for like 3 months before WandaVision.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so perhaps that had to get delayed like a month. I remember seeing it was originally supposed to debut at the beginning of fall, so like September. So we'll see. It might be out sooner than we think.
That'd be awesome. I would love.
It looks like the turnaround is pretty fucking quick from trailers. Like the Mandalorian trailer came out mid-September. It's due to release on October 30th. So
yeah, which is a
45-day turnaround. Yeah. I mean, especially with production schedules being the way they are, we could probably see that like Falcon the Winter Soldier came out of post-production and they're just going to fucking drop it right away.
Yeah.
Or even just working on like having the first episodes out of post-production and then releasing them weekly, giving them time to wrap up the later episodes that they're finishing filming.
Yeah, well, because like I mean, people do what the boys did. I mean, some people hated it, but the boys dropped like a couple of episodes, 3 I think, and the rest are weekly. Like people can fucking suck eggs. You can binge the first 3, and then like you can like catch up on the week. Like, I haven't
watched the boys season 2 yet.
Yeah, I've watched like the first 2 episodes. I haven't caught up all the way of what's out yet, but so far so good. But
I think the weekly release schedule is actually like better. Though.
I think it's sometimes nice to like not. It just like I don't think binging is always great. I think once it's all out, so you can binge away if you want. But like I think sometimes it's nice to like let things marinate. You know,
it's fun to watch something like Stranger Things in just like a fucking rapid fire like blur because it's like a big movie. There's not multiple storylines going on. There's not like a overarching plot happening. But then we saw with Stranger Things season 3 where it left the public eye so quickly. Mm-hmm. Like it was huge for like a month and a half, but then it disappeared. I think that's from a business end, the problem with the binging. It doesn't really make sense. It doesn't keep people excited for an extended period of time. Versus like the Mandalorian, it was like a fucking firestorm every week one of those came out.
Yeah, well, and that's exactly what the boys learned from their first season. They dropped it all at once on the first season, and everybody binged it super quick, and then was immediately like, "Where's that fucking season 2?" And it's like, do you not understand? It felt like
it felt like it was a really quick turnaround, though.
It was shockingly.
Same thing with the Mandalorian. So
yeah.
Also, yeah.
I don't know. I was just gonna say you're kind of right. Like they're both. I think they both just knew that they were going to be popular seasons. Season 2s were going to be required for both of those shows. You know.
Yeah. We have one more bit of Marvel news before we go into movie of the week here. But supposedly the rights for Daredevil and all the Defenders are going to be going up soon.
Yeah. That's right. Sometime this fall, like November, December, I can't remember it. No, I mean, but I saw this rumor that Charlie Cox is supposedly being approached to like maybe do a rebooted version of his Daredevil for Marvel, which would probably be a just Disney Plus series.
I would love if they just brought over all the fucking series because Disney has the fucking money. Just pay for the fucking series. This probably won't happen because companies that have more money than anyone can fathom are still cheapskates. But I would love it if like all the seasons of Daredevil and all the Defender shows came over to Disney Plus. It would give Disney Plus a kick in the ass that it needs anyway. People will be so excited from that.
Fair.
And they would be able to continue these storylines that they really dropped the ball on. I mean, think like the Punisher and Jessica Jones had endings, I guess. I didn't watch the last season of Jessica Jones, but
I never finished season 2 of Punisher. It's been sitting in my queue.
Season 2 of Punisher has like a conclusive ending for the character, sort of. Oh, cool. They can do stuff with him later, but it's like that's all you need of his own show.
Fair.
But like there was a cliffhanger at the end of Daredevil season 3. Luke Cage season 2 had a big cliffhanger. Fucking Iron Fist had a cliffhanger. And the second season of Iron Fist wasn't bad.
Iron Fist.
The second season of Iron Fist wasn't bad. So I would be down to see like where any of the characters go.
I agree. I would love to see all of them just pop up in new series ongoing.
Mostly Luke Cage.
And Daredevil, probably.
Yeah.
So I mean, who knows, man? Maybe we'll actually see that. That'd be fucking dope.
I'm hoping.
But yeah, I mean, so rumors aside, though, I mean, like, what have we got? We got 10 minutes on this. We gotta fire through this shit.
With 10 minutes?
Yeah, dude. So Breaking Bad. We've been obviously rewatching Breaking Bad.
Yep.
Okay, so we're near the beginning of like season 2. We're on I think it was episodes 3 and 4.
Yep.
Basically, what we got the fallout from the gunfight with Tuco.
Starting to delve into Hank's PTSD.
Interesting storyline.
Best storyline. One of my favorite storylines in the show.
One of the interesting episodes or parts of this these couple of episodes is Walt's, to me, like Walt's scheme that he comes up with to cover up the fact that him and Jesse were involved with Tuco is so in depth and like off the cuff, right? Like they're walking away from the scene all fucked up, and they just like, have witnessed some shit, and he's just like processing all of this, like this big cover up in his mind, and he's like, all right, Jesse, let's do this. And they pick up he gets hitched and like like goes and starts this process of being found naked in a fucking store and all this shit,
which is just insane.
It's insane, but it shows how deep his like intellect really is. I think like he's
a legitimately smart character.
He's fucking smart and detailed, and he's fucking like conniving, dude.
Ruthless.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. And conversely, though, as you see him sort of like almost like get vindicated for getting away with this, the further he sort of does, he sort of like kind of gets more empowered. Jesse sort of starts falling in these couple of episodes.
That's something that keeps happening through the show too. Is like every time that they get out of something, Jesse gets further alienated, and Walt keeps getting this rush.
Yeah, it's bizarre, dude. And like, but it's a pattern I've also been noticing so far, which is so like it's interesting to like notice it during this rewatch. But like Jesse like goes through some shit. Like he gets kicked out of his house because his mom finds his meth lab in the basement of his house. His RV gets towed, and Walt
getting towed is some of the funniest shit.
Yeah. And like he loses all of his money throughout all this, and Walt gives him like $600 in compensation, which is fucked.
It's one of those things of just like you want to root for Walt, but especially when he comes to Jesse, he just keeps fucking him over.
He does, but then he brings him back, and he's like, oh, okay, like he treats him like kind of like a son almost, and then he fucks him over again, and it's such a bad pattern of abuse, man.
I know,
fucking crazy.
It's Walt. He's the most lovable villain in TV.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, and then like, but the crowning moment is when Jesse falls through that porta potty, and like gets covered in shit and porta potty water, and like just like basically just cry as he's crying as he gets into his RV in the junkyard and like puts his mask on. And I was just like, this is such a fucking dark moment though for his character.
But it's also hilarious.
It's also hilarious.
Like, so it's moments like that make Breaking Bad bearable. Because if it were just people being miserable and terrible criminals, that show would not be as good as it is.
Fair
There's
enough.
little moments of levity where you can laugh at Jesse falling into a fucking porta potty because he's a dumbass.
Yeah.
Like, thing's not going to be able to support your weight. Like, no wonder.
Yeah. No wonder, you jackass. It's true though. But yeah, so it's interesting. This is another couple episodes where you saw that pattern of like one rises, one falls, and particularly Walt rises, Jesse falls.
Yep. I feel like this season 2 really sets the groundwork for Breaking Bad to just take off.
Yeah. Oh, and my actual favorite part of these 2 episodes was when they brought in the old man with the bell to interrogate Jesse.
I fucking
and he just looks Hank in the eyes and then just shits himself. I was like, damn, dude, that guy's hard as fuck.
fucking Hector, he's the best.
Dude, he's so fucking hard.
Dude, we'll have to watch.
Oh
We're
my
gonna have to
God.
watch Better Call Saul after Breaking Bad, though.
Yeah, I definitely wanted. That's actually one of the things that prompted this whole rewatch. I was like, I want to rewatch Breaking Bad and then get to Better Call Saul.
I watched the first season of Better Call Saul, but I haven't watched any of the rest of it. So
Nice.
I think it'll be nice.
But the other thing we watched this week to continue our quest for movies of the week, it was The Dark Knight, the
Dark
number
Knight.
2 in the Nolan trilogy, right?
Yeah. Still, line that makes me laugh every fucking time is
My God, man.
Who are you going after? Rachel.
Rachel. It's
God.
dude. I mean, like, there are moments like I was thinking about this. That movie. One of the reasons why I think Heath Ledger's Joker, aside from his performance, why his character resonates so well, is that a lot of the acts that he performed throughout that movie were images and like of like buildings blowing up, and they're terrorist acts of like buildings blowing up and like then bombs being placed and like threats being made, and that was like where people were at, particularly after 9/11. It was like a super high alert zone. Yeah, dude, and
it played off of a lot of the fears of that day.
It really did, and
granted, I mean, like, we're still sort of in that phase currently in the world. Like, it is truly a post 9/11 version of that character.
For sure. And that's one of the interesting
it's why these movies feel so grounded too.
Definitely. Because people were afraid of like a super villain, basically, and
well, I mean, it's one of those things of just like taking a character, because I mean, the Joker can get sort of wacky in the comics, but the gist of it is that he's a deranged man who's doesn't have any concerns about killing anyone, just to create chaos.
Yeah.
And to provoke Batman.
Yeah. And in this movie, like, I mean, like I said, Heath Ledger, obviously his performance is legendary, and it still stands up perfectly.
Oh, it's the best thing about the best thing about the Nolan Batman films.
Oh, absolutely. But like the pencil trick still got me.
Yeah,
I was just like that fucking scene. I love it. But there's like some particular like moments that really stood out, like during watching this. Like, I loved you saw how badass the Tumbler was in the
oh fuck yeah, dude,
in the tunnel scene when like he like launches in front of the missile, like takes the missile and shit like that, and like even before that when he hits the garbage truck and like
it's
knocks
so awesome.
it's just badass, and you're just like, holy shit, dude, that thing is like a mini tank.
And then when the fucking gyro cycle comes out of it,
the little
even
transformer
better.
cycle. It's fun, it's fucking cool, it's badass, it's Batman.
I think one of the like that, and it has debatably the best practical effect ever put to film with the fucking flipping semi-truck.
Oh my God, I was gonna mention that. Like, that still like blew me away. I've seen that clip so many times. I've watched this movie so many times, but like that still is just such a badass scene.
It's so impressive.
Yeah.
I will just quickly, because this is something that always comes up in conversation about this film. What's your theory on the origin of the Joker in this film?
Oh, I mean, I honestly like that. I know. I feel like we've talked about this before, but I've never really like put much thought deep down into the origin of this Joker. I figured he's a product of the world around him, and like that to me is just like apparent because of like I was just mentioning. Like, I think it was just the heightened sense of like shit going on and everything. It just made sense that there would be this person pushed over the edge. But
dude,
like rewatching this.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna mention like rewatching. I rewatched this with like the military theory in the back of my mind.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, and it kind of stands up. Like, I mean, there are some specific like lines that kind of would allude to potential like service or something.
Yeah, something that broke him.
Yeah,
and but then also something that gave him expertise in the terrible acts that he's doing.
Well, exactly, and with that in mind, and then kind of realizing how it like detailed that lens of like post 9/11, the post 9/11 world is ingrained in this movie. I've kind of figured that really makes sense. I mean, it makes sense to the world that they're trying to paint Gotham as. That this would be a soldier who maybe like had some shit happen. Maybe his unit got blown the fuck up, and he had some like massive PTSD. Maybe he saw some shit or whatever the fuck, you know.
Yeah.
And maybe he came back and was just like, "Fuck the world, dude. Let's let this shit burn."
Dude, I mean, this film also, it's interesting to think, and I remember I seeing this in a film literature class. The structure of this film is fascinating because it essentially, usually there's the 3-act structure in films. It's opening, middle, and then the falling action or the climax. This has like 2 whole waves. Like, it's a really long movie in the first place, but it has like the rising action. It has like the inciting incident, has a climax, but then it drops off and it does the whole thing fucking again.
Yeah.
And the build in the second half of the film, specifically with the Joker breaking out of prison, starting there, is so intense.
It is, dude.
So fucking badass.
It is so intense. That interrogation scene, every time I watch it, and there's evidence of it throughout the entire movie,
Yeah.
but the sound effect that they put on Batman's punches.
Oh, it's so beefy.
It's just like he just like it just, and like the way he sounds when he fucking slams Joker's head, and it's just like the back and forth that they have between those two characters is
dude
at its like height.
Dude, that scene when the Joker, it's like simultaneously happening. The Joker getting in a fist fight and eventually taking the cop who's gonna beat the shit out of him hostage.
Oh yeah.
While there's a fucking bomb inside of the dude that blew up like half of the fucking police force.
Yeah.
It was just such a build, and then going even further and getting into the Two-Face stuff, which when I rewatched this, I nearly completely forgot about. I was like, oh yeah, Harvey Dent's in this movie, but it's really good. It works really well.
Yeah, I remembered it as like a smaller part than it actually was. And I was like, damn, dude. And like, it is like the back half of like what he does as Two-Face is like a pretty small kind of
the actual Two-Face stuff.
But it's fucking powerful, dude. And like,
I feel like Two-Face
of him taking that shot and then like it leaking down his chin. I remember watching that in theaters and just being like, my God, that looks so fucking raw, dude.
Dude, I mean, like the first, like Two-Face, it's sort of a character that wouldn't fully mesh with one of the Nolan films.
No, and that's why
I don't think he could be a full villain.
That's why his arc was kind of perfect. Because I agree.
Mean,
in that
giving you the setup of him being a good man, being loved by everyone. Even if at some points he comes off like a bit of a douche or like a hack.
Yeah,
like
there's still some pretension to him, but
he's like, but in the grand scheme of things, in that gritty universe where everybody but Bruce Wayne is a bit of a piece of shit, he's still a good man.
Yeah.
And like, so seeing that, and that was sort of the point that the Joker goes to, is that any man can be corrupted. Mm-hmm. Anybody can be ruined. And like seeing Harvey Dent fall apart by the end of the film and eventually get killed by Batman.
Yeah.
Like it's
and it's like the cherry on top of that, like
the Joker fucking won. He made the Batman kill someone.
Yeah, well, exactly. And that was it. It's like the Joker, like that's the thing that, like, one of the things I love about the ending of this movie is that it doesn't end on a good note.
It's so bleak.
It's so fucking bleak. Batman's getting chased by the cops for being a killer. Like,
you have Gordon's little monologue at the end.
Yeah.
Which is sort of positive, but then everything going on, you're just like, fuck. I mean, like, Batman's still going to be there to protect him. The cops have no chance of catching him.
Yeah. But what's interesting is that, and I remember this after the first time I watched it, I was like, where the fuck are they taking the Joker?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, they caught him now, dude. So what's next with the Joker? And that
I'll say this about The Dark Knight Rises. In the novelization, they actually reference how when Bane breaks everyone out of Arkham Asylum, that the Joker gets away.
Oh, that's dope. Okay.
So
so he's in Arkham. Yeah. Little piece of mind there. I just, I always wonder every time I watch this movie, beautiful movie, amazing movie.
Yeah.
I always wonder like what could have been if Heath Ledger wouldn't have passed away.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like what? Like would he have done a follow up? You know what I mean?
It's still like a really satisfying. Like they don't have to do more.
Oh, absolutely, dude. This doesn't even. This movie is so cherry. It's so rich and it's like that marinara. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Marinara of Batman.
It's been a while
movies.
since we said that on a podcast.
It has been, but it's like you don't even need the Batman Begins. You don't need the Dark Knight Rises. You could have just made this fucking movie exactly as is, and it would have been fucking fine. Like it would have been.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why like I think it's why people just barely look at this franchise as a franchise.
Exactly.
You know?
I agree. It's like it's a franchise in character, but like it's not really.
It's like Batman Begins is fine. Like Dark Knight Rises is good and Bane is badass, but everyone loves the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
So and I remember the uproar, or I remember hearing about it, the uproar in 2008 when it didn't get nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah. Which was saying something because like now they're still, in the
that was the year Iron Man came out.
Yeah. You're right, dude. That was the year Iron Man came out.
I know. It's like I feel like the Dark Knight, it marked this like shift, Yeah. I think it was like it was one of the movies that came out right before Iron Man. And then Iron Man, along with probably the Dark Knight, really set the trend for what would become like the big pop culture phenomenon of the 2010s.
Yeah. Well, because and I think Favreau learned directly from watching Nolan's work and seeing that like at least taking elements of reality and trying to like at least squeeze them into this overall like bigger.
It's like these characters can exist in a relatively real world.
Yeah, like give them some missiles instead of like a laser on his shoulder. You know what I mean? Like people, it's a little more believable at this point in time. But like he can still be in a flying metal suit. Yeah,
I mean that's something that comes to mind. That's something I was going to say with Iron Man. It's like, plus Iron Man totally is in the same way of the Dark Knight, capitalizing on the post 9/11 type deal.
Oh, for sure.
Leaning on it in a different way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But it's fascinating that like this movie, it really changed like blockbuster cinema. Oh,
fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, every time I watch this movie, I popped in the DVD because I couldn't find it anywhere. So I popped in the DVD and I was like watching that opening sequence of like, where it moves up to the side of the building and the window gets shot out. And I remember hearing that for the first time in the theater.
Yeah.
And like every time I watch this movie, I think about that memory and how fucking amazing this movie was presented in the theater.
That's when Nolan does best.
And that's when Nolan is best, man. It made me think of his current, film Tenet. And like how that was the big issue was like, it's not a movie to be taken in.
You can't stream it at home.
At home necessarily.
It's like, I didn't watch Dunkirk in theaters. I don't think I ever want to because it's not going to be the fucking same.
And I remember that was one of the cool things about The Dark Knight and the other movies in this trilogy was that they finally gave somebody a chance to take a serious crack at it and make it like a good fucking movie. Like not just like, in terms of like cinema and what was going on in cinema, like not just like a, grandiose, hopeful superhero movie. So it was kind of interesting.
Like the Dark Knight was the first movie that you like the first comic film that you could classify not as a good comic book movie, but as just a good movie.
Absolutely, same here. Like, I would put that
not to discount the X-Men films. Like X2 is phenomenal.
But they're superhero movies.
They're superhero movies. Yeah. The Dark Knight was a legitimately good movie.
Yeah, and that was a step up from Batman Begins. And we 100%. Know that Batman Begins had more of those like those real world superhero elements, where like Dark Knight really became a real world hero. And I
feel like the Dark Knight is nearly the real world plus Batman.
Yeah, I agree. It's fun.
Like nothing in it feels that fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, but at the same time though, you're just like, God damn, like this dude's a fucking superhero. I don't know.
But in the same way as it's like Bruce Wayne. He's just a smart dude. with the money to invest in himself to make himself a superhero.
Yeah.
Again, that is the gist of the entire deal with that character.
Yeah. Oh man, well, I enjoyed rewatching it. Like, it's always, I'm always glad to have an excuse to fucking watch The Dark Knight.
Hell yeah.
And I guess The Dark Knight Rises will be next. I haven't seen that movie for a fucking grip.
I know.
Now it's not the time for fear.
I'm excited because like I watch Dark Knight Rises clips all the time on YouTube because it has some of the strongest moments. So I'm excited to see how it holds up overall.
I think the opening airplane scene, I'm already looking forward to watching that.
Fuck yeah, man.
Fuck, dude.
Fuck yeah.
Anyway.
All right,
my friend. I think, dear
That's
hot dogs, I think you've made it all the way through this this raging pod, and
only 5 minutes over.
Only 5 minutes over. I think this is episode 48, so like
48 minutes
two more, and we're up to 50. So
boom,
woohoo! Wow, man, I mean, we covered it. I guess I'm just gonna say, be well, hot dogs, and come back for more.
Stay hot.
Stay hot.